All right, hey y'all, welcome to Working Class Rich. This is this channel where I teach you to think better than the rest. Today we're going to be reacting to a video by John Hope, and he's talking about some keys that wealthy people do that I believe that we in middle class need to pay attention to because it's spot on. It's stuff that we can glean from being rich from. So hey, listen, let's check out this reaction, man, and let's take notes and find a way to help us to move faster where we can get that bag. You know what I mean? All right. All right. Okay, here's the reaction right here. Let's listen to it first, then I'll give my commentary.
From you is you've had a chance to meet and talk and sit with the 1% of the 1%. Not just the people that have wealth, but they have power. They have influence at a global scale that some people probably can't really even fathom. What is it that they understand about money and growth and wealth and power that we tend to miss out on and we don't fully understand?
You ask excellent questions.
Thank you.
When you go to a wealthy neighborhood, they're quiet. Just like this room, just like right now. So you can think. You go to a black neighborhood, a brown neighborhood, you go to a poor neighborhood, it's noisy as hell. Intentionally. They value simplicity. That's why you often will see them with a t-shirt and some jeans on. They need quiet because it's only in quiet can you create, right? In peace, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that you can create. And creation creates creation. Well, all a patent is a monetized creation, right? They understand you can make more money on money than money can ever make on labor. I'm saying this very slowly so the audience can absorb it. They understand you can make more money on money. Rephrase that. Money makes more money on money than money can ever make on labor. Okay? They understand you make money during the day, you build wealth in your sleep. Because it's compounding. Stocks, bonds, home ownership, business ownership, etc. They understand that if everybody has the information that they have at the same time that they have, and has optimism, willing to play by the rules, do the right things, that everybody, they won't say this, they won't acknowledge this, but everybody actually could succeed, potentially, at their level. They're not interested in that part. They're not trying to, here's where we get it wrong. We believe it's personal. They are trying to hold us back. No. They're trying to get ahead, as far ahead, as fast as they can. That's capitalism. That's competitive juice. That's no different than an athlete. It's no different than somebody with a rap or, anything else that you want to covet your knowledge and use your hustle and your unique brand to get as far ahead to distinguish yourself as you can.
I always say to create distance.
Yes, that's what they want. They want to create distance, and they don't mind you having a few snacks once they've created some distance.
Man, there's a lot we can glean off with that. Dude, that's why I said on this channel, I'm teaching you how to think better than the rest. This is not a pretender's channel. I don't pretend to make more money than I actually do. I'm actually a truck driver, so I make truck driver salary. So I don't pretend to be more than what I am. But I am a type of person that specializes in seeing and thinking in a way that other people are not thinking, mainly because they're proving my point. I'm trying to create distance. But listen, let's get into some of the notes I've taken here concerning this particular subject with John Hope, right? So the first thing he said that wealthy people uh, understand how important it is to have quietness in terms of their neighborhood, right? They understand that. They understand which middle class people, we understand it too, because nobody don't want to live in a deep, dirty hood. You don't want to peek out your door every few minutes, man, and somebody's getting robbed or somebody's getting shot or police sirens are going around every time you turn around, helicopters. That stuff produces, anxiety in people, but rich people uh understand that I'm going to use my money and my resources to put me in a situation where it's quiet, because if I can put myself in a situation where it's quiet, then that would give me the ability to rest my mind so I can think of the next big idea, versus in retrospect, poor communities are loud, and rap music and different movies, and they celebrate the hood. They celebrate, people will name, I grew up in this hood. I grew up in, it's like you just grew up in a loud, alarming environment that kept you feeling under attack and probed every time you turned around. It was only until I got grown and I moved to a nicer neighborhood, not a wealthy neighborhood, but a nicer neighborhood, that I realized having good neighbors, having nothing going on your street. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. So if the wealthy understand that, I believe that we as middle class, working class, if they're taking it seriously, we need to take it seriously. We need to really stand up for our neighborhoods, our communities, to keep them a certain way, because when you can quiet your mind, ideas can be easily grasped, right? So the number 2 point that I got, and I'll play the video back in a little bit so you can kind of get something that you might have missed. So he said, wealthy people value simplicity. Simplicity. Meaning that, it's nothing super complex about that. What's the guy from Facebook? His name escapes me. But anyway, I know who he is. But he wears the same shirt and jeans every single day, and people think like, oh my God, that's profound. No, it ain't profound. He just don't want to wake up every morning and try to think about what he's going to wear. Life and his position don't always afford him to have that mental bandwidth to think about clothes. He ain't doing anything, but so middle class people will look at that and they would think, oh man, we are so behind. Listen, we don't even have enough money to have that big of assortment in terms of clothes. So we were already doing what he was doing all along. And we took it for granted. When you had to wear that same outfit, every other day to school, and people talked about you, it's funny how the wealthy have adopted that and they made it trendy now, so they like simplicity, in the things that they do. Simplicity means you want to set a path for whatever you're doing that anybody can come behind you and duplicate what you're doing. If my kids see me getting up at a certain time, going to sleep at a certain time, going to work at the same time, oh, you can duplicate that. So when they get a job, they not surprised that the job is saying, be here at this time, you're going to get off this time, so you have to manage your sleep, manage your money. They ain't surprised. They saw me do it. So what I'm saying is, listen, we as middle class, we are not so far off from the rich. You need to understand that. So when these keys come into you, please don't feel like, oh man, I don't know how I can weigh up to that. You already weighing up. You just not doing it at the frequency and on their level and the amount that they're doing. But on some levels, you're doing the exact same thing you're doing. You may just be not valuing it like they do. And he also said that they use money to make money. I'm just looking at my notes. They use money to make money, which is not a surprise. It's not that is even profound, because my job gives me a 401k. The 401k is my money working. So when I put my money in the 401k or the Roth, or if I invest on my own, that's my money working, doing the exact same thing that Warren Buffett or Aristotle or the Wall Street trapper, what I'm saying? These type of guys that's in that, invest with Terry, these type of people that's in that vein. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not doing it at the amount that they're doing it. And I think that's the point where working class people devalue what you're doing. You look at, okay, they put money in the stock market and they got this huge return back. But it's like, look how much money they put in and look how often they put in. And then look at their educational level in terms of investing. So if your educational level is low, how can you expect the same return that they have, right? So don't devalue yourself. Don't put yourself down. Just understand where you stand, So we not too far from them. Anybody can become a millionaire at any time. At any time. You can become a millionaire at any time. Okay, you don't believe me? What about the person that had a autistic child that created fidget spinners? Now, I don't know what that person's financial stuff is now, but they created fidget spinners. That came from a working class person that created fidget spinners. Right? So anybody can create something that one day shows up and they look up one day and they're in the wealthy class. So anybody can make that leap, man. Don't. So making money is not a new concept. It's just a concept that most working class people don't value. That's why you can have instant gratification, go out and blow, $100 and be like, well, I'm a truck driver, I make another, but the rich don't think like that. The rich think, I want to make sure this $100 create $300. And I want to do that as often as I can. Right? Not rocket science, man. It's just you need to learn how to think better than the rest. Think better than the rest. If everybody is moving towards instant gratification, if everybody is high on the hog thinking Black Friday is coming up, man, I'm finna get this after Christmas sale, after Halloween, after Thanksgiving, I'm finna jump on this big Cyber Monday thing. Think to yourself that $40 on our level is a lot of money. If you're making less than $500,000 a year, $40 is a lot of money. So you running out spending $60, $70, $80, $90 on fast food or eating out, that's a lot of money that's going out of your pocket, but we don't see it like that. We see, if I can afford it, then it's okay. So our money tend to go out and never come back. And what he's saying, that the wealthy understand that I need for this money to go out and I need for it to bring back more money. Same thing as Napoleon Hill, same as the richest man in Babylon, those type of books like that, literally talks about that. So this concept that he's saying is not a new concept. It's just he's bringing attention to something that you need to hear right now. Last thing, let me get to it. He said that the wealthy know how to make money in their sleep. This is a key when it comes to us as working class. we as working class people, we take pride in doing a good job on the job, right? I love being a good truck driver. I love to be a company man. I enjoy all of that. But I understand that that is not making money in your sleep. When I wake up my next work day, I'm going to have to go and be a good employee again. I'm going to have to be a good employee again. So what I did on Monday will not last to Friday if I screwed up on Thursday. You know, if I screwed up on Thursday, Monday don't even count. You know, even though Monday I was killing it. So when they say we trade work for time or time for money, we're trading something that cannot be compounded or multiplied. Time can't be multiplied. Once it's gone, it's gone. So what you did on Monday on the job, you got to come right back on Tuesday and do the equivalent of what you did on Monday, or the supervisor's gonna be looking at you side-eyed and all this type of stuff. So the wealthy people understand that I don't want to do that all my life. But let me tell you this. This is how middle class people move into that same space that wealthy people are in. What you do is when you thought about writing that book, write that book, do all the processes of getting that book into the marketplace, put some money behind it, put some marketing behind it, get the traction going, and all of a sudden you created something once and it's selling over and over and over again without you having to go back and write the book again. Now, you may write a new book, but you don't have to write that old one again. You can just use that product to distribute it out to the marketplace. See, listen, so what I'm saying is wealth is closer to you than you realize. TV have all this flash to make you feel like, man, there's a huge ravine, a huge ocean between me and the wealthy. It's not. It is not. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. Before you know it, you can be a first generation millionaire. First generation millionaire. It can happen. It can happen. Now, it's a longer jump if you're going from the poverty class where you're homeless. You know, that's a serious jump to try to jump past upper middle class to try to get to rich. Now, that's difficult. Yeah, that's very hard. And it's just how it is. So learning how to make money in your sleep. So the last point he was saying on this was, you know, rich people want to get ahead. They want to get ahead. So it's not that they trying to hold anybody back or gatekeep, which, like I said, he's saying the socially acceptable term, you know, when it comes to wealthy folks. But the fact of the matter is, when you're in capitalism, there's competition. You do not want, you know, your competition to come up from nowhere and sweep the floor with you. You know, it's not that you holding that person back, but you're not volunteering a whole lot of information either. You're not volunteering. If I was the best trucker on my team, everybody that's new, you know, there is some information I would give them, but there's other information. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let you learn that on your own. I'm gonna let you learn it on your own because you're gonna eventually learn it. But the competitive side is you don't give them every single thing in the beginning. You let them learn some things on their own, you know, but you don't give them everything. And so, I mean, if you call that gatekeeping, then I I guess it's gatekeeping. But the wealthy on many levels do try to hold other people back, because if somebody showed up as an outlier, you showed up and you created, this big thing, and all of a sudden you're on Shark Tank, and all of them want to buy the idea, and the idea turned out to be real, you know, they're going to be watching you. They're going to be thinking, man, this is new up and coming guy, dude, we better watch out for him. Now, most wealthy people be like, oh no, we don't really think like that. It's like, come on, dude. Come on. Everybody is trying to gain more market share. They're trying to get more space. They're trying to expand. They're trying to scale. So if somebody is standing in the way of you scaling, okay, it can get a little doggish there. But I like the way John phrases things, because he helps us to understand that we can think the same way too, right? We can think literally the same way too. So anyway, so that was my 2 cents, man. Understanding how the rich think, man. Listen, thank you for joining me on this short little episode. If you vibing with this channel, Working Class Rich, where I teach you how to think better than the rest, like, subscribe, share, please comment, for the algorithm to help, people, the algorithm understand that this is good content, so when you comment, it helps everything. So listen, hey, my name is Starsky Inspired. I'll see you next time.